Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm very sorry about the problems. Today, I'm going to talk about all the wonderful plants that grow in New Brunswick that we can use. I just want you to make aware that I'm not a professional. This is a hobby for me. And use these plants at your own risk. There are many more around the community that I haven't listed. If you go harvesting from these plants, make sure to leave lots for the plant to regrow. Avoid polluted areas. Avoid the sides of busy roads. And avoid any areas where pesticides or herbicides are used. You want the healthiest plants possible. This is wild chamomile. In the picture, and all the pictures I'm showing you, you can see the size of the plant by the marker in the picture. This plant tastes a bit like pineapple and smells like it. The flowers never get much bigger than in the picture. Chamomile makes a nice tea, and it's often used for sleep at bedtime. You'll find it everywhere, in your gardens, everywhere. Often in driveways or gravel. Berries, there are many, many wild berries in New Brunswick. Make sure you know the right one. This is a picture of elderberries. They are good for immunity and protection from colds and flu. They don't ripen until late summer, early fall. Don't eat raw. They need to be cooked or dehydrated. To get the goodness from them, you can use a tea, make a syrup, or a tincture. I'll talk a little bit about this later. There are many other berries that grow in New Brunswick and wild. This picture at the top is a blackberry. The vines are very prickly and they grow in patches. This is a picture of choke cherries. They will be ready to harvest in about a month. A choke cherry has one large seed like a sweet cherry. That's how you know what it is. They are quite sour and are best in jam or with sugar. Down here is raspberries. They will be ripe within the next week or two. The leaves of raspberries and blackberries can be used to make tea. Red clover. You probably see this everywhere right now. Clover is good for the garden. It adds nitrogen. It makes a great tea. It's sweet a little bit. To harvest them, harvest the young flowers, barely open. The leaves and the flowers can be used. They are good for women's issues. And I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't. I'll show you later. You could infuse them, put the flowers in oil. The flowers in oil and soaked for 2 or 3 weeks is good for eczema and skin problems. Oxeye daisy or just daisy. You see them everywhere right now. All parts are edible. I don't find the flowers taste very good. The leaves can be used in salad, and they have lots of vitamins and potassium. Personally, I don't harvest daisies, except for pretty flowers. Dandelions. It was hard to find a picture of a dandelion right now. Dandelions grow early in the spring. The leaves, flowers, and roots are edible. The flowers don't taste very good. Young leaves are great for greens, and they have vitamins and minerals. The roots are healthy for you. You can cook them just like you might a carrot. You can dehydrate them to make a tea. You can also dehydrate them and roast them to make a substitute for coffee. It doesn't taste like coffee, but it's good. If you are allergic to latex, be careful with this plant. Goldenrod. Goldenrod is just about ready to flower right now. There are many, many, many different varieties in North America. Well over 100 types. When you go to collect them, you may find the flowers look different, have different shapes, but all of them are useful. They all have yellow flowers, like in the picture, like this, but in different shapes. If you're going to use the flowers and dry them, dehydrate them, harvest them as they're just about to open. Goldenrod makes a very tasty tea, and it's good for seasonal allergies. You will find it in all kinds of open areas around the city. The leaves can be eaten early in the spring as well. If you are a gardener, I'm sure you've seen lamb's quarter. In the picture with the pen, that is a small plant. The plant, if left alone, can get quite big. If you're going to eat the leaves or use them like spinach, they're best when they're small and young. The leaves, flowers, and seeds can all be eaten. And like many plants, wild plants, use in moderation if eaten raw. Many have different properties that can upset your stomach if you eat too much. Too much means bowls and bowls full every day. Plantain is a very interesting plant. It is not related to the fruit that we can buy in that looks like a banana. The indigenous people called it old man's foot, white man's foot. You will find them in very bad soil all over the place. It has lots of vitamins. The seeds can be eaten just like rice or chia seeds. They make stuff a little gooey. Young leaves can be cooked or eaten fresh. The best thing about this plant is the good things it can do for your skin. If you get a bug bite, take a leaf and chew it or squish it and put it directly on the bite. It will take away the pain. You can make it into salves for all kinds of skin problems. The plants grow very low to the ground. Wild sorrel is another very interesting plant that you likely will see in your garden. It's quite small. It can grow fairly tall, but usually they're quite small. The leaves, flowers, and seed pods all can be edible, eaten raw. It has a sour, lemony flavor and lots of antioxidants and vitamin C. It doesn't dehydrate very well and keep its flavor. St. John's wort is probably flowering now or will be very soon. You can buy this as a supplement in vitamin stores. The vitamins you buy are often used for people that have depression. I use it for pain and healing in the form of a salve. If you take a bud, like a little tiny flower bud, and squish it, it makes a red color. This helps you identify the plant. If you take a leaf from it and hold the leaf to the light, you can see many, many, many tiny holes in the leaf. I usually harvest the buds and flowers and infuse them in oil. I make a salve with it. I usually mix my salves with other oils from other plants. Wild sumac is a very interesting plant. It looks tropical. Do not confuse it with poison sumac. There is a poison variety, looks totally different. You can see the leaves. Right now, the fruit body is not, they're on the trees right now, and the trees aren't very big. But the fruits are not, they're not red. They're mostly like a light green, green color. They are native to North America. You harvest the red fruit late in the winter, late in the summer, my apologies. Each fruit like this has many, many, many tiny little pinhead-sized berries. Pull one off in the summer and taste it. If it is sour and lemony, it is ready to harvest. To harvest, cut the whole head off and dehydrate it. I usually keep it outside in the sun because bugs sometimes live in them. When they're dry, I will shake them to remove any bugs and keep them. To make a drink, put several of the big fruits in a pillowcase and soak it in a lot of fresh water, and it will make a lemonade type drink. You can remove the little berries and put them in a blender, and then you keep the fuzzy part of the berry and you throw away the seed. The wild New Brunswick violets are finished now, but they are edible. They are sweet. The leaves are edible. There are vitamins in the leaves and fruit. Pansies, violas, and jolly jump ups are all of the same family and all can be eaten. You could make jams or jellies or syrups or vinegars out of the flowers. Violets are antioxidants and anti-inflammatory. If we have a long fall, sometimes the violets will flower a second time, and you can harvest them then. The plants are very tiny, short, and I'm sure most of you probably have seen them. Yarrow is one of my favorite plants. All parts of the plant can be used, but I usually just harvest the flowers with some attached leaves. Apart from being a tasty tea, yarrow can be used to treat fevers, stomach problems, and is anti-inflammatory. If you have a bad cut, it slows bleeding if you put the plant right on the cut. I find it very easy to dehydrate. I also use yarrow soaked in oil to make a salve for skin problems. They advise you not to use this when pregnant. For people who are pregnant, it is very important to research every wild plant you pick to make sure it's safe. The same goes for breastfeeding. I'm sure most of you know about making tea, but I thought I would just give a little review. If you're making tea from fresh plants, at least half to 90% of the good beneficial stuff in the plant will go into your tea. So any of the plants that have medicinal properties will go into your tea. So tea is a great way to capture the good ingredients. Usually to make tea, a handful of fresh plant or a tablespoon or two of dried plant is what you would put in your hot water. You need to leave your tea to steep much longer than you might for black tea. I've talked about infused oils. To make one, you need any oil that you could use on your skin. You don't want to use a baby oil. You want a nice edible oil. Most people use olive oil. When I say baby oil, I mean the commercial one that I have no idea what's in it, but I would use real oil, food oil. What you do, you take your clean plant material and put it in a jar. If you've used water to clean your plant, it must dry first. Make sure your material is covered with the oil you decide to use. Any exposed plant material could go moldy. I usually leave my jar with the oil and plant in a cupboard out of sunlight for up to a month. It can be longer, it can be shorter. I will then strain it and store it at room temperature. St. John's wort will turn your oil a little bit red. I generally use these oils to make a salve. I might mix them together. I might not. I usually add other kinds of oils or like a shea butter, cocoa butter, coconut oil. I will mix the oils with it, plus a little bit of beeswax to make a thicker salve. But the oil by itself, used on your skin, would still work. There are other remedies you can make. Another one of them is made with is it called a tincture? And instead of letting the plant properties go into oil or into water with tea, the plant properties are removed with alcohol, glycerin, or vinegar. Witch hazel is another one you can use. Alcohol, you can just use a plain, inexpensive alcohol like vodka or gin. You can also use a rubbing alcohol but it depends on what you plan to use it for. You can't drink rubbing alcohol. What you do is take your alcohol, put it in a jar, and add a couple of handfuls of fresh plant material. You can sometimes use dry, dehydrated, if you want. If you are using vinegar, warm it first. It just speeds things up. Warming the alcohol, you would lose some of the alcohol, and you don't want to do that. If you want to try using glycerin, you would need to go to a pharmacy or somewhere that sells it, and you need vegetable glycerin. Leave your jar with the liquid in a cupboard for 2 to 4 weeks out of sun. It can be longer. Then you need to strain and store it at room temperature. Any of these materials that are put in liquids or oils, I usually shake them when I think about it, just to keep everything mixed up. So I'm going to try to stop sharing here. Can you, let me see, put the camera on. Can you see me? I just want to show you how I would dry my plants. Many of the plant materials, if you want to dry them, you can dry them just by tying them into a little bunch and hanging them up somewhere dry but not very dark, not very sunny. You need a cupboard or a room that's not where the sun is. Outside in our summers, it's too humid. Oh, my camera's not turned on? Okay.
No, it's not. No.
I thought it. Okay, okay, okay. Is it now? No, camera. Integrated camera, none. Adaptive bright. Oh, oh well. Apply. Okay, try this. Does it work now?
Yeah, I can see
Okay.
it.
Sorry, I'll repeat that all over again. So basically, take your plant material, and this is just a little bundle of sage, but you can dry any plant material this way. Most of the ones I told you about, you can do this with. It can take a couple of days or a week or more for them to dry. This is a jar of the some clover that I have put into oil. I don't know if you can see. You can see the clover. This has been about 2 weeks, and I plan to make this into a cream for skin. We do have dehydrators at Hayes Farm that can be borrowed if you're interested. Anyway, that's all I have for you. Do you have any questions?
I think somebody had a question in the chat. Do you
Okay.
use pine cones in herbal medicine?
Pine cones, you can. I believe most people use, I've never done it. In the spring, you can harvest the very young tips from most of the conifers, which would be pine, fir, or spruce. You can harvest the tip and you can use them to make teas and things like that. Very young cones can make a very, very tasty, I think you can make it like with sugar or pickle it. But I personally don't use them, but they're definitely very edible, and there are lots of good benefits from eating them. But I don't know about the cones for many of them, but certainly the tips.
Okay.
Any
And
other
there's
question?
another question. Yep. Do you have any suggestions for which oil to use when making herbal oil infusions?
I usually use olive oil. Um, I would use any, but you could use nearly any oil. It depends on your preferences. Any oil would work. A sunflower oil. I probably wouldn't use canola oil. GMOs, right? GMOs. But sunflower oil, um, uh, any kind of oil. It depends on your preferences.
Okay, I think there's another question. Does yarrow come in other colors than white?
It does. The wild yarrow is usually white, but it comes in many colors. The leaves are very ferny looking. I couldn't find any to get a good picture of the leaves, but you need to make sure that the leaves are ferny, or it could be a different kind of plant. But cultivated, there are many different colors. It's very pretty.
There's no more questions right now, but we'll give a few moments for people to
Yeah.
ask in the meantime.
My favorite plants are yarrow, St. John's wort, dandelion, and I do use herbs too.
Don't know if anybody else has any questions, but you have an email address, right, that we
Yes,
can email just in
yes.
case? Yeah,
Just a sec. I can put it
maybe.
in,
Okay.
I think.